He's got a gun.
The unfortunate scene unfolding in a matter of minutes. This man, 31-year-old Thurman Blevins, armed and evading police, leading officers through this residential Minneapolis neighborhood.
Put your hands up!
Those police officers eventually opened fire, fatally shooting Blevins.
Put your hands.
The entire interaction, caught on these police body cams, is the latest example penetrating our national conversation
He's got a gun.
about law enforcement and the use of deadly force.
Put your hands up!
On the one side, officers who say they were protecting themselves.
Before I pulled the trigger, when the gun came out, I feared for my life. I feared for my partner's life.
And on the other side, a community angry and searching for answers, weary and distrustful of authorities. The incident took place on June 23rd. Officers Justin Schmidt and Ryan Kelly were responding to this 911 call.
There's a guy walking around, keeps shooting off his gun, and he look intoxicated, and that's just not safe around here.
All right, what's our description here? Black male in his 30s, white.
Officers arrived on the scene and noticed Blevins with a gun in his waistband.
He's got a gun. Hands up now! Stop! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! I'm gonna shoot you!
Blevins continues to run, ignoring the officers' commands.
Put your hands up! Westbound man is gun. You got a gun! Yes, you do! Put your hands up! Southbound the alley.
It's here in this enhanced video. Authorities say Blevins, inside that red circle, can be seen reaching for his gun and turning towards the officers. The officers opened fire, killing Blevins. The object in his hand falls to the ground. Police say it was a loaded semi-automatic handgun.
One down. EMS fired our location.
I think one of the things that may give people pause is that they see someone running. And so the question is, can you use deadly force when pursuing a fleeing suspect? And the answer to that is yes, you can use deadly force if that suspect is a threat to the officer and a threat to the community.
Officer Ryan Kelly has been with the Minneapolis Police Department since 2013. Officer Justin Schmidt since 2014. Both were placed on administrative leave while, at the request of the Minneapolis Police Department, an investigation was carried out by the Minnesota Department of Public Safety Bureau of Criminal Apprehension.
It's a hard thing to watch, but I don't see anything on the video that's inappropriate.
As part of the investigation, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension conducted interviews with several of the officers involved, including Officer Schmidt.
To me, he had every bit of intent on shooting my partner, and I gave him numerous chances to give up. And he continued to escalate the situation by first grabbing onto his firearm, then clearing it from his pocket.
Yesterday, the county attorney's office held a press conference to discuss the findings of the investigation.
These cases tear our community apart. No one wins today. A young man is dead. Our officers face increasing criticism and scrutiny, and the community is devastated.
But before Freeman could announce the department's decision, Blevins' family members rushed the podium.
We want the cops arrested within the next 48 hours. And prosecuted.
Freeman later announcing the officers will not face charges.
Mr. Blevins represented a danger to the lives of Officers Schmidt and Kelly and other members of the community. There is no basis to issue criminal charges against either officer.
We have seen so many videos where the officers are not doing things the right way. But in this case, we see where the officers followed all the training and tragically had to take a life, but only because this suspect refused to follow the commands of the officers.
But still, tonight in Minneapolis, many have taken to the streets to protest the lack of charges.
There is a lack of trust between the African American community and the police departments all over the country. And that is because we over and over and over again are seeing this sort of trigger shooting of unarmed young black men. There's a lot of work to be done with the police department to foster a better relationship with people in the African American community.
Chief Brown suggests that perhaps in this case, transparency on behalf of the police didn't come fast enough for this community.
You have to release the video immediately because people start forming their own opinions based on rumor, conjecture, gossip.
The incident happened the end of June. It's the end of July. That's 1 month. That is actually not a long time in terms of investigating a case.
The state implemented the widespread use of body cameras in their police departments after the deadly shooting of Philando Castile during a traffic stop in July of 2016, which his girlfriend, Diamond Reynolds, live-streamed on Facebook.
Told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand out.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
Reynolds' 4-year-old daughter, who was in the car, watched the whole thing from the back seat.
It's okay, I'm right here with you.
Officer Geronimo Yanez of Minnesota's St. Anthony Police Department was charged with manslaughter and 2 counts of endangering Reynolds and her young child. The case went to trial, but a jury acquitted the officer. That verdict left the community reeling.
And I am so very, 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 very disappointed in the system here in the state of Minnesota. And this city killed my son, and the murderer gets away.
Chief Brown believes it's a story like Castile's that leads the family of Thurman Blevins to be suspicious of Minneapolis police.
In many people's mind in that community, and particularly in this family's mind, is how unjust that case was.
And more recently, the Minneapolis Police Department came under fire after the death of 40-year-old Justine Damon, a yoga and meditation teacher originally from Australia who was shot and killed by an officer in their department after calling 911 to report a possible assault.
The death of Justine is a loss to everyone who knew her. She touched so many people with her loving and generous heart.
After the shooting, prosecutors charged the officer, Mohammed Noor, with third-degree murder and manslaughter.
Officer Noor did not act reasonably and abused his authority to use deadly force.
Noor plans to plead not guilty. If convicted, he faces up to 25 years behind bars. All of these incidents are likely on the minds of protesters searching for justice tonight.
Where do you see things right now?
I mean, hopefully we're at that breaking point. Hopefully we're at that place where change is really going to happen.
And many hope that the national conversation around body cameras and the use of force does and must continue.
If there is a bright side to be found here, is the fact that we are seeing more and more officers wearing body cameras.
Put your hands up!
We can discern whether or not the actions of the officers were appropriate.
No justice, no peace.
For Nightline, I'm Alex Perez in Minneapolis.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.